The New York Times has a profile of Lauren Southern. Do you remember Lauren Southern? If you don't, that's okay, but many of you do. Lauren Southern was an incredibly popular, famous right-wing influencer a handful of years ago. And then suddenly she disappeared out of most people's view. She got married, she moved to Australia, and she was never heard from again. She stopped her public profile, she stopped the events that took her all over the world, and she just kind of faded from people's consciousness. You know, in a sense, it's a good reminder for us to be humble that even if we have incredible fame, you know, people's attention span is short. And if you're gone for just a couple minutes, people are going to move on. It's a good exercise in humility to remember that, because fame means nothing. It's fleeting. It's vapor. It's dust. It's vanity. It's nothing. Well, Lauren Southern has reemerged. She reemerged with the publication of a new book in which she excoriates the trad life. She says she left being a popular right-wing influencer to get married. She left to get married to a man that she had only known for a short amount of time, and she left to pursue the trad wife life instead. She started posting pictures of herself baking and aprons, embracing what appeared to be a home life versus a public life, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, except for the fact that the trad wife fad has a problem. The trad wife fad has a problem, which we'll get to in a moment. But Lauren Southern has since gotten a divorce from her husband. She's since moved back. I think her home, she's not an American citizen. She's a Canadian. So she's moved back to Canada. And she's calling out trad wife life as a fraud. She's saying that her husband, I don't know if she said that he was abusive, but she said that he berated her, that he was disrespectful to her. And she's rejecting what she previously believed. And so the New York Times, she wrote a whole book about it. The New York Times wrote a profile of her, somewhat surprisingly, because, 10 years ago, she was their favorite enemy. The New York Times wrote a profile of her, probably to help her sell her book. But really, there's a different reason that this happened. See, Lauren Southern is a perfect example of why the trad wife fad is stupid. Because they say that they're living trad wife life, but what trad? What tradition are they living? Well, they're not living the Christian tradition, because Christian tradition does not call for the husband to dominate the wife. Christian tradition calls for husbands to die unto themselves and, like Christ laid down his life for the church, to lay down their lives for their bride. Wives are called in turn to submit to that sacrifice. Dominance from the husband or subservience from the wife ain't that. So what Lauren Southern seems to be a part of, or at least what she's portraying her marriage to be, isn't really any kind of traditional marriage. It's cosplaying traditional marriage without God. And what has the history of human nature taught us about how it goes when humans cosplay a sacrament but remove God from it and therefore idolize ourselves? Listen, the New York Times has zero sympathy for her. They just hate Christians, and they think that this is a gotcha attack on Christianity. A formerly prominent right-wing influencer repudiates trad wife life? We got him, the New York Times says. But really, it just shows how stupid the New York Times is, because it shows us that the New York Times falsely perceives trad wife cosplaying to be Christianity, when it's not. Furthermore, understand the utter contempt that the New York Times has for women, especially women who are wives and mothers. This is a quote. "I'm sure some women," the New York Times writes, "are happy renouncing their ambitions to care for husbands and children. But often, women who give in to gender re-entrenchment come to regret it." End quote. That was written by the New York Times' Michelle Goldberg. Yes, Michelle, your promotion to mid-level bank teller is infinitely more ambitious than shouldering the responsibility of shepherding precious souls back to heaven. You're so right. They don't care about Lauren Southern. The New York Times doesn't. They don't care about women, or they certainly don't care about what makes women happiest and most fulfilled. Studies show that the women who are happiest and most fulfilled are married women with children who regularly attend church. But the New York Times doesn't care about the truth. They certainly aren't pro-choice either. If your choices as a woman aren't the choices they want you to choose, then they'll denigrate you. They not only don't care, they actively vilify and seek to destroy real marriage and true femininity. and who God made us as women to be. What the New York Times is articulating in this article is the feminism of Betty Friedan. You know, the feminine mystique. Remember her? Marriage is a cage, she told us. Motherhood is stifling. Your true value lies in your paycheck. It was a lie when she wrote it. It's a lie now, and it will always continue to be a lie, a vicious lie. And Betty Friedan's feminine mystique, which started the revolution of modern feminism, was deeply saturated with Marxism. And Marxism, of course, seeks specifically to destroy the nuclear family by destroying marriage, by destroying women. It's wrecked an entire generation of American women who are the unhappiest they have ever been, which is why there's a reflexive reach for the trad wife life. But it's a blind grab by young women who recognize that, bitter old crones like this New York Times writer lied to them and ruined their lives. The problem, of course, is that without God, trad wife life is fake. It's artificial. It's not real. It's not properly ordered. But this is what happens when you reject the intrinsic biological differences between men and women, because we are different. This is what happens when you denigrate women by telling women that they won't be fulfilled by being women. They'll be most fulfilled and happiest if they ape men.